In the enchanting world of love and relationships, it's sometimes easy to get swept up in the fairy tale narrative. But what happens when the line between fantasy and reality begins to blur? Today, we're exploring the intriguing concept of fantasy relationships. Whether you're currently in one or simply curious, let's delve into 10 signs that might indicate you're in a fantasy relationship rather than a real one. To begin, it's crucial to understand what a fantasy relationship is. Unlike a genuine connection based on mutual respect and understanding, a fantasy relationship is built on idealized perceptions and unrealistic expectations. It's like living in a perpetual daydream where everything seems perfect, but underneath lies a foundation that's often shaky and unsustainable. The first sign you're in a fantasy relationship is the feeling of infatuation that never fades. While it's normal for new relationships to be exciting, in a fantasy relationship, this phase never seems to transition into something deeper. It's all about the idea of love rather than the reality of it. You may find yourself obsessed with the potential of what could be, instead of appreciating what actually is. Second, communication is more about avoiding conflict than fostering understanding. You might find yourself saying things you don't mean just to keep the peace. Conversations revolve around surface-level topics rather than the meaningful, sometimes challenging discussions necessary for growth. This avoidance creates a false sense of harmony but prevents genuine connection. The third sign is an over-reliance on imagination. If you spend more time imagining how your partner could change rather than appreciating them for who they are, it's likely you're creating a fantasy. You might ignore red flags or justify behavior because of the potential future you envision rather than the present reality. Fourth, your partner feels more like a checklist than a person. You may be focusing on their attributes, like their job, looks, or social status, rather than their values, beliefs, or personality. This superficiality means the relationship is built on ideals, not authenticity. Fifth, idealization comes into play. In a fantasy relationship, one partner often puts the other on a pedestal, seeing them as flawless. This creates an imbalance and often results in disappointment when the partner fails to live up to unrealistic expectations. Real relationships embrace imperfections and the messiness of human nature. If you're enjoying this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more. The sixth sign is frequent daydreaming about scenarios that are unlikely to happen. These can be grand romantic gestures or unrealistic lifestyle changes. If your thoughts are consumed by what-ifs and fantasies, it indicates a disconnect from the relationship's genuine dynamics. Seventh, the feeling of emptiness when faced with reality. You might feel crestfallen or disillusioned when the relationship doesn't match the fairy tale you've imagined. This disappointment arises because the fantasy can never truly align with real-world complexities. Number 8 is neglecting personal growth. In a fantasy relationship, self-development takes a back seat. You might become so consumed by the idealized relationship that you neglect your own needs, goals, and individuality. True partnerships thrive when both individuals flourish independently and together. 9, you find yourself constantly defending the relationship to family and friends. Outsiders might see what you cannot, the cracks in the fantasy. If you frequently feel the need to justify your relationship, it might be time to reassess whether you're clinging to an illusion rather than reality. Finally, the 10th sign is a lack of genuine intimacy. In a fantasy relationship, physical intimacy might be present, but emotional intimacy is often lacking. The bond is more about fulfilling a dream than connecting deeply. Real intimacy involves vulnerability, honesty, and navigating the challenges of life as a team. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward cultivating healthier, more realistic relationships. It's important to remember that fantasy relationships aren't inherently bad. They can be a stepping stone toward understanding what you truly want and need. Love is a wonderful and complex emotion that can enchant us in many ways. By acknowledging the allure of fantasy and striving for authenticity, we open ourselves to more fulfilling and grounded relationships. Whether you're dreaming of a fairy tale romance or living an authentic love story, balance is key. Embrace reality with all its imperfections, for it is within these imperfections that true love thrives. Tell us what you think in the comments below and feel free to visit link in description for more insights.